Well, hello everybody. Good morning. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. It is Connor. We are back here with another rumour mill. Make sure you are slapping a like on the video. Make sure you're commenting, interacting, engaging. Honestly, guys, the comments have been through the roof over the last couple of videos. So thank you so much for your engagement. That's what we want on the channel. We want you guys getting over and getting your comments in your droves, but you've got to like the video as well. We're sponsored by IPM Group UK, guys. As you know, your CCTV surveillance and security needs through Rick and the gang. Keep it in the Leeds United community. You have one more day to get involved in football prizes as well, everybody. Link in the description below. Today, we're going to be talking about Sam Byram. We're going to be talking about potential contracts. We're going to be talking about Kalvin Phillips, Patrick Bamford, and a little player of which Leeds United could be interested in the January window. Could be quite likely. Stay with me. Right, everybody, we're going to be speaking about Kalvin Phillips today. Now, listen, we haven't spoken a lot about Kalvin on the channel in the past year, really, and that's because he's not a Leeds United player. But obviously, Leeds born and bred, Leeds sort of absolutely betrothed with the man, and it feels like Kalvin Phillips is intertwined with the city in itself. And it always feels like at some stage he's going to come back to Leeds United, but I'm about to kibosh that myth. We spoke a little bit about 12 months ago about him coming back to Leeds and really the unlikelihood of it, but there was a lot of talk last week and we didn't really discuss it on the channel, but I found, it's quite interesting to actually go back to it after McKenna's comments at the weekend. Now, Kalvin Phillips, according to Football Insider, Team Talk, apparently he wanted to move back to Leeds United, or he actively wants to move back to Leeds United, and senior bodies, according to Football Insider, have suggested that the Chiefs at Ipswich feel like his head is at Leeds United. Now, for me, this doesn't make that much sense, because why would his head be at Leeds United? I mean, he's a Leeds fan, so technically his head will be at Leeds United, but aside from that, he is a footballer in the Premier League who's made 6 appearances so far for Ipswich Town and played relatively well from the reports that you read with Sam Morsey in the midfield. But I think the Kalvin Phillips to Leeds United experiment is done. I think it will be done. I don't think there's going to be any sort of return unless he sort of post 30 and Leeds decide to bring him back for nostalgic reasons. But I think there are better footballers out there than Kalvin Phillips. I would argue that we've got better footballers now than Kalvin Phillips. And I think since Manchester City, since Leeds United, his career has really gone on the downturn. Aside from some appearances under Gareth Southgate, of which, there's almost like a 50-50 split on his performances in that style. It feels like his career's never really got going again. But McKenna addressed the rumours at the weekend that he wants to go back, he wants to leave Ipswich, and McKenna wants to terminate his contract. That word terminate was used several times, and he said that is absolute nonsense. He's had 6 starts in the Premier League. They're all really happy with Kalvin Phillips. So you'll hear on the news outlets and all this sort of stuff that, look, there's a potential that he's going to be moving to Leeds United. And even if we got to the Premier League, everybody, in the Premier League, Kalvin Phillips at Leeds United was earning, obviously he was on an existing contract, but I feel that was bumped up later on in his existing contract for Leeds United. He was bumped up to 38 grand a week. Just for measure, he is on a contract at Manchester City till 2028, the 30th of June, 2028. He's on £178,000 a year. He was on 38 at Leeds. Let that sink in. I just can't see it ever happening. Let's get Kalvin Phillips out of our minds. He'll be staying at Man City for the rest of his contract, in my opinion. And look, that's another 4 years, and unless someone buys him out of that, of which Man City are going to say you have to pay a pretty premium. Everybody, Southampton could help Leeds United. Russell Martin is 3 wins out of 3 against Daniel Farke. Southampton versus Leeds. He beat us at Wembley, but could he help us out with Patrick Bamford? Last week we heard a little bit of news, and there's been murmurs and rumours for a while now that Bamford's not happy with his lack of game time. Obviously, the Leeds United striker's on about 40 grand a week. His contract is till 2026 as well. But apparently, according to Team Talk, Football Insider, and interestingly, a former Premier League scout apparently has heard in Mick Brown that he is not happy at Leeds United. according to Team Talk, the report of the last week, he is not happy at Leeds United. And apparently, according to Saints Marching, they would be interested in an initial 6-month loan deal. Obviously, Patrick Bamford on £40,000 a week, which is £2 million a year. Now, we're going to get into this in a little bit, everybody, but we're talking about another striker. Will Leeds be going for another striker in the January period? I think it would be smart, to be honest with you, but you have got to divvy out those minutes between Joseph and Peru. We were speaking on the channel the other day about Peru being in there with Joseph. Peru plays his best football with Joseph. We've seen that this season as well. So could we see them both together and maybe see Aronson getting sacrificed out of, probably one good game in 4 or 5? Be interesting to see how that develops, but Pro and Joseph together, you still sort of need a little bit of depth if they're starting, and is Patrick Bamford that required depth? The other night I couldn't believe Farke brought him on, but maybe it's advertising him still. Patrick Bamford is still at this football club. He is still worth bringing in, and you look at the Southampton depth up front. Obviously, they've got Adam Armstrong. You've got Cameron Archer as well. I don't really see why they'd go for Patrick Bamford on a 6-month loan deal, but you never know, everybody. We've seen weirder things. Now, as well, I wanted to touch on Sam Byram's contract as well, everybody. Junior Firpo and Sam Byram's contract were being spoken about around about a month ago by Daniel Farke, and he was asked about both contracts. Junior Firpo's contract is sort of dwindling at this moment in time toward the back end of the season. Leeds need to offer him a new deal, of which we definitely should do. Sam Byram, obviously in the same boat as well with that 1-year extension that we gave him. Will this just be a continuations thing, like almost like Scott Carson, keeping that British player thing in your squad when Leeds are in the Premier League, if we are in the Premier League, but also keeping someone on your books who's played in the Premier League before, had minutes, has a little bit of experience, obviously West Ham being the primary example there. But Farke was saying post the Burnley game, we're all happy with him. You don't get many players like Sam. He's versatile and a great lad. Now, the interesting part about what Daniel Farke was saying post Burnley is almost like that resourcefulness of having Sam Byram right now, and especially with the issue that we're in right now, with Bogle been out, Firpo been out previously. Sam has almost filled in his career in midfield before, right wing, even left wing. So we know he can be a little bit of a Swiss Army knife. We know Joe Rodon is on 4 yellow cards right now. And with the centre-back depth that we've got, who's going to go in there? Is Sam Byram going to be an option there as well in the Championship? Genuinely, could Leeds switch formations, go to a back 3? Max Ferber is still going to be out for a big period of time. Is De Bayo going to come in? And that's when we're talking about this depth, or are Leeds going to put Josh Gilavoggi in there, who by all accounts isn't up to it right yet? So there's a lot of conversations going round right now, but it's Sam Byram being a resourceful option right there when journalists are asking Daniel Farke and others about his contract. It feels like maybe even if we're in the Premier League, Sam Byram's contract might get extended, but who knows? But right now, with the injuries that Leeds have, Sam Byram is a very, very useful option. We kind of need him right now, and albeit a poor performance at the weekend, I don't mind it as much in playing on his favoured side, which is on the right, which is what he will be doing with Jayden Bogle being out. But what would you do, everybody, at the end of the season, or whatever happens, if Leeds are in the Championship, if Leeds are in the Premier League, would you offer Sam Byram a contract regardless? Junior Firpo, it feels like Junior Firpo's contracts, we all know what needs to be done. But what would you do about Sam Byram? Jack Harrison, I wanted to talk about this morning, everybody. It feels like Everton fans are feeling the exact same thing that we spoke about on this channel. And I will say, do you know what I mean? Holler if you hear me. Scott Steiner reference there, everybody. But yeah, listen, we said on the channel for 5 years that sort of Jack Harrison is massively overrated by, in my opinion, our fan base. He did a good job at Leeds, a decent job. But I remember when Rafinha was leaving and people were saying, look, Harrison did more than Rafinha that year anyway. And the revisionism by some fans, it's crazy. But listen, the reason I mentioned that is because when Harrison went to Everton, there's a lot of rhetoric that, oh, he's a Premier League player, he's this, that and the other. The exact same stuff is being said about Jack Harrison, and has been said about Jack Harrison at his 2 seasons at Everton, as it was said by me and other Leeds fans by the best part of 4 or 5 years. He's had a really poor start, 0 goals and 0 assists. And Benjamin Amari as well, in Everton's under-21s, who plays in Jack Harrison's position, is flying. And you do wonder, do Leeds need Sean Dyche in at Everton, everybody? Because at the end of the season, if we're able to recoup 11 to 15 million quid for Jack Harrison at the end of his loan by Everton, that is massive. But it feels right now the only way that Everton come and take Jack Harrison off Leeds is if Sean Dyche is there, because you feel another manager coming in. We know Mourinho has been twerking for the Everton job at Fenerbahce, let's be honest. You do wonder with how it is now, the framework of Everton, if they will go in for Jack Harrison, and if that will lead a sort of bigger problem for Leeds United next season, if they are in the Premier League or the Championship, how do they get rid of him? Will a newly promoted team take a chance on Jack Harrison, or will they look at his numbers and say, well, we could get better? Because you feel right now that is the sort of rhetoric with Jack Harrison. We could get better. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Adam Daghim, everybody. Now, it sounds like a lad who just plays at Sunday League, but listen, he is a Danish footballer, 6'2", striker, can play right, can play left, everybody, but he is a big Danish boy, only 19 years of age, available for 5 million quid. And why this is absolutely exquisite, everybody? The Red Bull network. Yeah, he plays for Salzburg, come through the same sort of network as Erling Haaland and co in that striker position. And apparently Adam Daghim is someone that Leeds United are monitoring for the January transfer window. So keep an eye on that one. Someone who's versatile across the front line, someone who's young. We were talking about Daniel Jebison the other day at Sheffield United when Leeds were interested, apparently, and that got quite far. Leeds were interested in him. This guy fits a very, very similar profile. Tall, athletic, has got goals in his basket, but also has real high potential and a real high ceiling, and that Red Bull network, baby. So that's been it on the Room Mill, everybody. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. It's been an absolute pleasure. Make sure you check out the debrief from last night. It's a longer format, me and Oscar chatting about the season. We're going to be heading on over to the Patreon, where you can get involved in WhatsApp groups, everybody. You can get involved in bonus content as well, of which will be posted today. We're answering your questions on the Patreon. We'll be reading your names out as well. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been Connor. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you in a bit. Cheers.